Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is my typical greeting, right? Right? That's how I always. I realize I started all the exact. Oh wow, stuff getting thrown in my face. The moment the mic goes on, shenanigans happen. Before this, just sitting around doing absolutely nothing. The moment the mic goes on, let's throw something across the face.
Nothing is a strong word.
Nothing.
That bag was full of nothing.
Air is not nothing. I will have scientists argue with you.
Air is nothing to me.
That means nothing to you. You and your
Can't feel
dirt
it, taste it, or
will
see
go
it,
against
doesn't
air for the end of
exist.
time. But now that we got that oh gosh, I threw something at myself. Shenanigans mostly out of the way. All three of us are here today. I am your host, Onvermel. To my left, I am greeted by my brother, Eck.
Greetings, brother.
Thank you, brother. And to my right, I have my other brother, Zakta. Hi, Zakta.
Hello, brother. I am thrilled to be here of some sorts.
Are you really thrilled? I don't see a
I
lot
meant
of.
the
I
some
don't think
sorts.
you're that thrilled. But for all I know, hey, maybe you guys are thrilled. I doubt it, but maybe. So, what I would like to discuss with you fine feathered gents today, none of us are feathered, or maybe we are, maybe we're actually birds, is
The twist of the story today.
is basically what Bionicle years are the best, which one the worst, where we rank them per se. We're not doing an official tier list because this is more just us going to be debating which years are better than what years. So I'll start things off. I would say the worst year, which I'm hoping there isn't going to be much contention, 2010. Let's be honest, it's kind of a cheap short year. I don't really didn't mind the stars. The actual it did wrap everything up, conclude everything, but it doesn't really do it for me.
6 sets isn't going to compete. Yeah, it's the worst, hands down.
I would have to agree. And I imagine we're all going to agree on what the best year was, but we can get to that later. I imagine we're going to try working our way down or up this list.
Well, I started my release favorite. Now, did I dislike the year? Not necessarily. I like that it did wrap up essentially all the events. It just did it hastily and had kind of crappy sets. An improvement on the Av and Matoran and the Agori a little bit, but not very good. And also, it was like just 6 sets, kind of crappy. Now, if I were to put the year as my second least favorite, I would have to say. Someone else say it first if they have a second least favorite.
I do have I'm pretty sure I know the next 2 least favorites. I don't know which one I dislike more, but the 2 that I like the least next would be 04 and 05.
Okay, I'm going to have to argue with that one a little second.
That's the Metro Nui era.
Yeah.
Reason being, I don't like the Vakia sets. They're bland, simple, and boring.
Vakiest.
Yes, I'm Vakiist. The Metru are good. They're just a little dull, but the design is very good. The Titans, they're very hit and miss. Some are good hits, some are very misses. Looking at you, Kreka. You're crap.
I would definitely not put the Metro Nui era in the upper half, but I will definitely say my second least favorite is the Carta Nui wave, so 2008. Reason being, quite simple. The sets, in my opinion, are somewhat weak, and I really didn't care for that aspect of the story that much.
See, I'm going to throw in a third year as my second least favorite. I'm going to change it up even more. I'm going to say 2009. I think the Glatorians were a fine year. I just felt like it missed the mark. Now, to what you said with 04 and 05. 05, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with too much because I do rank it pretty low. But 04, I think purely out of the fact that the Metro Nui, were the T.O.A Metro were amazing new redesigned builds. The Matoran, some people do like. I find them quite charming. The masks, beautiful. I think the parts and such, and the story of basically the whole Metro Nui story arc, I think was handled better than the Glatorian one. Just because the Glatorian one, I just felt like they missed the mark on it. And the movies of 04 was better than the Legend Reborn.
Okay, you got me there.
Just saying.
Yeah, the movies give the Metro Nui era a leg up, but for me, the reason I definitely do not agree with the low ranking of basically the 2009 Glatorian wave is simply because I quite enjoyed the concept, and I've certainly made a a connection of my own to the stuff that's, even if it's not canon, I enjoy the world I've invented for my toys that came out of it.
See, I don't dislike the Victorian era. Like, I think the sets are quite good. Brought a lot of new colors, were inventive. And the Titans, like the battle vehicles, for the most part, were all top notch. But I just felt like it was just kind of like missing something. Like it felt a little. Maybe the Legend Reborn just puts in pretty bad taste in my mouth. But also, it was like kind of just deviate from the rest of it. And I don't know. I had just a lot of issues with like also just the story in '09. And I don't know. I don't know. Like, maybe a lot of issues here come from the Legend Reborn movie and like Greg related stuff. So talking about sets purely, I think it would edge out '04 for like just the sets for design. Except, I mean, the Titans are better than '04, despite me personally really liking Trog Doom and Nidiki. For, I mean, yeah, they're more rough and technic, but I think they're really creative in that. And they have that charm attack. Now, Kreka, yeah, Kreka is crap. That's I don't think anyone is going to
Is it
argue.
Kreka or Krappa?
Both. Maybe.
Yeah. Mind if I move on to our third, or do we?
Sure, I think.
Since Gerard's already stated what I'm sorry.
Ek.
Ek has already stated what his is. I will actually have to agree on part of it. The latter and the second Hordika wave,
05.
05, while the movie certainly puts it up there, it does have some pretty decent builds, but the story is questionable. The To are questionable. The villains, not Titans, are questionable. It's mostly got the movie keeping it above my second worst pick.
Interesting. Because like for the most part, that was going to be there. I wasn't sure if it would be my second least favorite year or third. Like I wasn't sure where I'd put it, but when it comes down to, I think nostalgia plays enough of a role. And the movie I do like better. And like when you look at the Titans, I personally think Rudaka, Sidorak, Kitongu, and Likon are all very solid Titans.
Notch.
Some people might agree that like maybe those ones are a little awkward, but I think they're really good.
I would say Kitongu's definitely the weakest of the batch.
Him or Sidorak. I have feelings about both of them.
Sidorak
But
looks more
I will say
solid.
this, that they, I think, have that perfect technic, like one of the perfect technic and like Bionicle kind of mesh. Like they basically took what '04 was trying to do and made it even better. And like I don't think anyone's going to be arguing with Rudaka's pair of Roshki heads. Those are real nice. Sorry. That's blacked out there for a second. But now I will say this. And also, a lot of people I do know, which I've warmed out, like I do like that the Vizirac have at least slightly different builds and the colors are a lot more nice.
Yes,
to
the
look at.
colors on the Vizirac are some of them are rather unique, like the Unarak, the black.
Yeah.
The black and yellow, yeah, that's quite unique. And the Vizirac are colorful. The Hordika, not so much.
And for like parts specifically too with the Vizirac, you got all the new upper limb arms, like in brown. That was the first time that the longer lift arms were using, got them in black. Like for parts and such, it's pretty good. I mean, the Hordika and the Rahaga really do bring it down, but you do get the Haga and like Likon in that year, which are all. And also we can't forget that you also. I know that was old 6. Never mind. I thought about something, but never mind.
I stand by my statement of putting it at third bottom, but I'm glad I didn't put it lower. However, I guess I have to mention that spinners are darn fun.
Okay, funny thing about spinners, I remember when they first came out, I thought they were the dumbest thing ever. Like, I'm like, this is
Oh, they
stupid.
still
But then
are.
you go,
And then we had a lot of fun with them.
which we've actually had a lot of fun with them. And sure, are the collecting aspect of it kind of lame? Yeah. Is it really gimmicky that everything has spinners? Like, it's like, never heard spinners. And then, like, every Titan has it. Like, basically, everybody, a little bit. Because, like, at least mentioned Nui, then not all the T.O.A had discs. The disc gimmick was toned down a little bit more than the spinner. But, you know what? I think they're fun. The only problem I have with the spinners is, outside of, like, Kitongu and Sidorak, everybody's spinners just fall off.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
I have to hijack this conversation here because a thought crossed my mind. It could even be content. I want to challenge the three of us to create our own contestant of spinner launchers. And we shall go outside, maybe on the balcony, and launch spinners and see who's the best creation. Or arm.
Maybe. I do have a
Spinner race!
I do have a plan to do a video about all the launchers, by the way, basically comparing how consistent they are, how far they go, how much they hurt.
Look, I'm just looking for an excuse to make a new mock that has no relevance to anything I've currently made.
You need an excuse for those before?
Yes,
Huh,
I'm running dry on
okay.
ideas.
Okay, but I don't know. '05, one thing I do find, though, with the movie, I'm kind of disappointed. I like to say, I said the Hordika are the biggest disappointment of
The
line.
movie's the best part of '05, and the Hordika are the worst.
Maybe. I might not. Most of the movie's the best part. However, I do agree with Greg and most people that Matau should have been the one to defect from the group.
He would have been
But I
unbelievable.
understand why they went to make it Vakama.
Yeah, it's always.
Even in Niwa
Yeah.
could have worked, but Matau's vainness of him, and even the movie, he was like the most pissed off at everyone.
I mean, angry people are better at staying just angry. Though you have to keep in mind, would it really be fair to the Greens to get a third round of dark side usage?
Let's see, there was
Liwa twice.
Nadiki,
Oh,
Nadiki, Liwa twice, Nadiki, Matau, all the whole village. Yeah, the Greens had it bad for returning to the dark.
They wanted to go red for a change.
But yeah, I think so. We're basically on agreeing that '05, like third bottom essentially. I only like '05 more than '09, like with the Gatorians, more out of just nostalgia and more of a connection to the like certain sets and the movie. Like the thing is, the movie and the books really elevate like the Metro Nui stuff because there is a lot of story, and at that point the world building was getting more expansive for Bionicle, but wasn't making it dumb yet. That's the thing. It's like 04 and '05 is when Bionicle started expanding.
I still find '05 one of the least interesting years, though Time Trap is a great book.
Now, I'm going to go say that my fourth least favorite might be a bit of a controversial move, but '02. Now, hear me out, gentlemen. Hear me out.
Just for my record, because they kind of get muddled my year, '02 was Borak and Borkal.
No, Borakal early '03, but I'm going to lump that in there. But I'm going to kind of lump the whole Borak arc kind of as... I know the Borakal were like '03, but I'm kind of lumping them in like, pre-Roxy. I don't dislike it. Don't get me wrong. I still really love '02. Like, basically, at this point, it's hard to find stuff I dislike about these years. But '02, you basically go from Makuta being the villain, then it goes from Borak, and then back to Makuta. It's basically just kind of a filler year. And it's just like... Again, like, the sets, sure, the Borak I know are classic Bionicle villains, but when you go from the Rahi, the Borak were like budget Rahi sets. I know they got a nice little function, they're cute, they're good, and they're great to have swarms, good collectibles. But there is a thing of, they're all just the same, and they're just the T.O.A's elemental, basically, T.O.A power is a bit less. Sorry. Now, what I will say I do really like, and then the T.O.A Nuva as, what's it called? Sets that they come out to, the T.O.A Nuva were a downgrade from the Tomata. They lost a lot of the charm and just beauty of the Tomata.
And the silver doesn't quite work with all of them.
I mean, I think the silver, it looks really nice on them, and it's nice uniformity. Like, it makes them look more like a unified team, I would say, than '01, which works kind of well with the story. But I was never sold on the Nuva's masks. So, and the story itself was just kind of filler, I guess. Like, specifically the Borak arc, which I know is 2003. I know that's 2003, but when I think 2003, I think Roxy, Takanuva, Mask of Light, that stuff. So I'm lumping the Borak with the other 2002 stuff. So let's be honest, the Borak all probably came out at the very end of 2002, early 2003, essentially. I bet some people got them early. Or was that the T.O.A Nuva, and that's when they came out? And the Borak was like spring. I don't actually know.
I would be offended at you, but honestly, I would agree that while the Borak is like the time, I got my first
Dylan?
Comic, the Borak was my first villain, and they can be darn fun at times, and the Borak Vok can be really cute. Yeah, the 2002 was probably one of the weakest and boringest years. It's especially with the Borak call aspect was really just a filler.
I just felt like it was a bit of just after year one. It was like 2001, but just not as good.
The art is still great.
Amazing.
Well, like the Borak, like the online Borak animations, the just promotional art, like the promotional art of 2002, arguably could be the best.
Okay, the Borak online animations are probably the best media they ever came out with. I might have to rethink my bottom four now.
I just think it more suffers from after the Rahi, like as sets, it's definitely one of the weaker ones, I'd say. Now the
Very
Borgva
neat sets.
were adorable. I love the Borgva, but I would definitely just feel like the sets aren't as good as like O1 or O3, and the story's good, but I just don't think it's as grand or as good as like some of the later ones.
I'm gonna lump in '08 next for me because I really hate the Mystica Toa.
Hmm.
They
Here,
bring
here.
down the whole wave. The vehicles are great.
The Makuta are
The
pretty decent.
Fantoka Toa are pretty good. The Makuta are either
Awesome.
they're okay sets. They're not great by any means. They're all right. But the Mystica Toa are just so utter crap and garbage that I hate that so much.
Hmm.
At least with the Fantoka, you could sort of see the Toa in there. No, Toa Trucker, that not Galley, and I don't know what to call Anua, but they are like Anua should have been Tahu's build. Galley could have been Anua's
Anua's.
build, and Tahu could also have been Anua's build.
See, I don't know if I want to agree with this placement of '08 because I don't know, like I said, nostalgia will play a large part. I do really, really like '08, but there is, I guess the more I think about it, the more flaws
The fragile joints don't help either.
the more flaws I find, the more that I might be agreeing with you because, sure, you have some real amazing stuff like Exceller T9, Jet Tracks, Swamp Strider. Those are great. Takanua, despite being rather peculiar, was like for like a new level of basically Titan builds and was like really cool. And then
Yeah, Taknu was pretty awesome.
and the Makuta as sets were really nice. And the story is where '08 I would say was the best because the whole let's be honest, the revelation of the Great Spearman New Robot, Makuta succeeding in his plan, and just having the Toa Nuva come back in the limelight. I'm sorry, like and it basically connected year one all the way to that, like all into a nice evil bow.
Well, it ties everything together, and the ending is spectacular, and the Toanuva are spectacular. I feel like it downgrades Makuta / species and whatnot as a villain to much more manageable opponents, as well as the whole actual story of Carda Nui. I find I don't have quite the taste for.
See, I just dig it so much. Plus, it also brought Krika as one of my favorite Bionicle characters to come on
Oh,
Krika.
Krika's
And
cool.
it brought back Takanuva
Meh.
as well. Also, it brought back and all the online serials from 2008. I think were good. Like, I personally think '08 is better than you guys, but again,
I care squat about Krika.
I know you do.
I mean,
You're oddly sour about this.
I love.
Josh, guys, I have an own opinion. He's offended by it.
No, it's I just don't understand everyone's love for Krika, and he's such a great character. I'm like,
Anti-hero, Jared. Anti-hero.
whatever.
He's interesting. He's not a blank slate.
He's got
That
character.
basically, I'll say, it boils down to this: most Bionicle characters are pretty one note.
I don't remember Krika's character.
He was a
Fair
bit
enough.
more ambiguously gray. Like basically, he was like all villains based at that point were bad, evil. They weren't good. All good guys were good, and they're not bad. Krika was actually a character who was like a bit more leaning in the middle.
Remorseful, I think the
Yes.
word is used.
And I think just because Bionicle is always so black and white, it was something different, especially for every other Makuta being evil, 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 evil.
I stand by my second bottom placing of this, but that's partially because while I love the side stories that Greg did for this, and the big revelation, it still comes down to the sets. They are the most meh out of everything except for the stars, in my opinion.
My bias against Krika is also because he's my least favorite Makuta set. I don't like his set at all.
See, and then I wanted to argue with you again because, okay, one reason why I say his personality also popped out was all the other Makuta that year, I don't remember any personality from them, really.
I remember-
Like, I remember them being all kind of boring in the books. And the thing is, I'll say this, I always liked Krika's build. I like it more than Gorast's, more than Biddle's. However, to all the Fantoka ones, okay, I like the Fantoka.
I like Biddles more. Biddles. I like Biddles, and I'd say Goris is just slightly better than Krika. I just don't like what Krika gives me.
I like the creep. I love the color scheme. I like just the creepy. He just feels, I don't know.
Yes, he doesn't give everyone what he needs.
I'm not gonna lie. I think we found the most controversial year.
I was just thinking that.
With a bit more strong.
Most controversial set.
A bit more strong opinions. I hope the Bionicle community comes and roasts you. I'd love to see him burn.
That's okay. I like the fire. It's nice and warm and toasty here.
I mean, you also aren't the one looking in the comments section or care. You're just here to talk. You wouldn't even know if people are annoyed at you.
I'm gonna take this time to throw in my
I'm
fifth
not
worst.
done yet. I'm not done here with the weight. I'm
We're
not
done here.
Not yet.
We've
I'm not
discussed it.
yet. I'm not.
Well, what else have you need to say?
I was going to say one thing I will say to OA that does bring it down. That would bring it to this listing, like where I would actually agree, is the fact that it has the Avmatorn. Because the Avmatorn, I didn't go into much length about the last podcast, but say we're talking about the year, I'll admit, is one of the worst decisions that the Lego design team did. Like, yeah,
They made
they're
them too
simple,
tall.
easier, but they
Not
are
wide
not
enough.
really fun to build. The parts aren't really useful to use. They were kind
Yeah,
of
the parts not
bland.
very good.
They were kind of
Worst part
bland.
selection ever.
The heads, I actually despise the Avmatorn head. I don't like it.
They are bloody awful, and you can't even put an old school mask on it because they're axle connectors only. But why would you even want to put a mask on one of those heads? Because they're just a huge hunk of trans neon green or trans neon orange, 2 colors.
They do have
power
uses
your
from
spaceship.
time to time, but typically I don't like them. The Shadow Matorn were slightly better, but only by a time. The only thing I like about them is the masks were kind of cool. But I don't know. I just have such a. Oh, it was just so epic. I just have a hard time placing where it is. So I don't know.
I have to disagree on the mask, but I find that it has the largest selection of
Ooh.
hard to use masks.
Also, the T.O.A Nika, actually, that was the first time you saw that look of the Mask of Light in person. So, and I find him actually a really cool set. So.
I would say my dear Onvermel here is simping a little bit for 08.
Sip. Yes, a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I just really, really liked OA. Like, and I also thought it was the end of Bionicle. So when 09 kind of brought back a corpse for me, I was a little bit.
So, are we good to move on now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, my fifth pick for fifth worst or whatnot, I think is where I'd put the Glatorian. So, 09.
Yeah.
They're good, but they're still not as good as other stuff.
See, when it comes down to me, I don't know.
I'm not really sure where I would put 09, so I may as well just throw it in here. While when it originally came out, I was very much against it. I thought it was a soft reboot, and it was a whole new thing, but when you realize it connected, I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool now. And the sets are really nice. I really like most of the sets, especially the Scrawl.
After 08, they really stepped up their game. It really became a much more, like, Strack and the Scroll, they did something with the standard building system that they've sort of locked themselves into.
What? Okay, I don't know anyone hold it like that. Yeah, no, I would definitely say 08 or 09 isn't bad. Like, mine more comes down to, I think, missed opportunities in the movie. I don't know, I have a lot of nostalgia. Let's be honest, I will say this. What I like about a theme for one year compared to another will shift and change. Very much depending on my mood. But I will say this about 09, with the Glatorians and all that, is it was really, really nice to see normal red, baby blue, and like tan brought back into more modern colors. Like, we hadn't seen like a tan Bionicle since 2003. Actually, no, 2002, because yeah, the Boar Colonel actually didn't use tan. I didn't see tan in forever.
Well, Hookie was 2003.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. But I don't know, some of the sets
Hookie and Hafu.
I find the Glatorian sets compared to like the Makuna and T.O.A maybe a little bit better. But I guess the Battle Vehicles. And the Agori is a step up from the Avmatorn being more interesting looking. And the Glatorian heads at least finally gave us a third color of eyes. Since the Wordika, there'd only been orange and green eyes used on everybody. They finally brought back blue. So, okay, maybe 08 or sorry.
And the
09.
Glatorian heads are just a little bit better than the Avmatorns, even though they're still just a solid hunk of trans. They are better head pieces.
True.
Because they're smaller and they actually have a proper face on them.
Yeah. I mean, that one has a face. It just isn't really as noticeable.
And the neck connection is way better placed.
I will give 09 this, or with the Glatorians. Basically, they did finally give us a gold Ignica, which was like, beautiful.
So, were we all in agreement that this is the number 5 spot, or what was yours there?
I mean,
Onvermel.
I had mine stuck a lot lower originally. Let's be honest, we're not necessarily the order
No,
of this
but
is
what is your number 5?
my number 5 is where I'd put 04. I mean, because like
First
I
wave of Metro Nui.
for the most part, like I like 04. I definitely have a very soft spot, but compared to some of the later waves I still have listed here, it's not actually. You know what? To be honest though, I might actually say that 06 is below 04 for me. Now I know 06 is like a big year for a lot of people, like really big year, and I do think that the Titans of 06 are like the best Titans out there.
100% agreement there.
And like I gotta say, and yes, to all you Umbra hating sons of Connexes out there, Umbra is not that bad set. You guys are all whining about his color scheme looking off. It's unique and it's cool.
And for all you Maxilos lovers, he's a freaking robot.
Yeah. Brutaka is better than Maxilos. Suck it. Actually, wait, no. Ooh. Do I like 06 better than 07?
I'm going to let you mail on that and say that my numbers... Wait, are you on number 5 still?
Yeah, around there.
Okay, I was going to move up, but I guess you're still talking about that.
Look at this way. We're not necessarily doing one. We're kind of just throwing out, going up slowly
Yeah.
to our favorites.
It's really hard to say which is better, 07 or 06, because the Titans, 06 wins. Villains, 07 wins. Heroes,
50-50.
it's very much a tie.
Okay. I'm just kind of going to put both of these lumped together. They can change. Like these are basically my fourth and fifth place because, as you were saying, Ek, yeah, the Titans are to say like, because we have it like you got basically 4 super awesome Titans in 06 with Ernak on the side essentially.
He's very much on the side, and
But he's his own thing. That's kind of like the thing. But 07 has more Titans, and like I've really grown to like cars. I love.
they are still very good Titans. 06 is better, 07 has more, and they're still good.
I would say.
Dunka is really
I would say
sharp.
this. 06 has like Axon, Brutaka, Fezon, and Fenrak are all A pluses, and Umbra I put as an A minus. While
Maybe
the
an A.
Mari I would say are mostly like none of them are A pluses except for maybe. I'm not sure if I'd put any A plus. Like don't get me wrong, I'll say this to Maxilos lovers out there. I do really like Maxilos. However, I do have my issues with him.
Stability issues being a big one for me. He's a little hard to stand up sometimes.
It's just whenever you move one thing, his arm likes to move, but Spinax is all. And I'm gonna say this. I know I'm usually not the one who says it, but he's kind of bland to look at. Because I will say this while we're addressing these, comparing this, people saying it's the argument between Brutaka and Maxios. Brutaka just aesthetic, like color wise, like it's just way more vibrant to look at. It's just way cooler. Normally I don't like gold, like oversaturated in Lego, but Brutaka was still early enough when that wasn't prominent. And I just think he looks cool. Like yeah, I know Maxios kind of cheats. He's a robot, but he's also kind of got weird proportions. I don't like his hands. His lower legs are kind of too squat. And like I said, for me he's just an A. I don't give the Mari Nui any A pluses for Titans. Even Hydrax and I really like, but they're all just kind of. And then the Matorn, we only got 4 that year. They're good.
Yeah, there's less of them, but I
think they're better.
the 2 Matorn are really nice, but the Hydruka are pretty iffy.
So and like with the T.O.A, it's like I like the Mari. I even like Mari Huki, but that's mostly nostalgia and some other stuff. But the Mari because they were trying to be more unique than the Inika, they have issues that fall from them, like New Peru's like posability because he's using the Paraka arm. You have Huki who's got the mismatch stuff. Their issues basically come because they're trying to be more unique than the Inika.
I'd say they saw the slightly mutated from the mutagenic water T.O.A look very well.
Than the Inika. I would have to give the T.O.A Mari the edge over the Inika.
Just because they're masks, yeah.
And weapons.
I find at least Jala, maybe Halley, in some aspects Kongu are better than the Inika, but the Inika are at least consistent, whereas while I do like some of the Mari T.O.A builds, at least all the Inika are pretty decent.
I'm actually going to say that I think that Mari Kongu is my least favorite T.O.A.
I don't like that it's
Kongu. The reason why I compared to him to Huki is a conversation for a different day about why I like Huki more than Kongu, but I'm going to say I think I like 06 more than 07's story, just because Like with the proc online animations, like the Void Nui
Yeah,
online
'06
game.
has a better story. I like it a lot more too.